517 to scanner control. 517 to scanner control.
Hey, welcome to the Star Wars Squadrons podcast. This week, I decided to do something a little different before we get into it. I kind of wanted to go over the updates of this week in Squadrons that have been going on. Now, this is partially based on the posts that RDT2, man, I knew I was going to struggle to say RDT2 puts out on the competitive Squadrons and, of course, the Star Wars Squadrons subreddits. Each week's RDT2 will do a breakdown for the community. They've been doing that 4 months now. It's a great service. I think there's lots of people who are checking it out every week, and I kind of wanted to do a little video version of that to kind of talk about some different things that are going on. So we have a few upcoming events, of course. This weekend, we have the Italian Discord is bringing together the Guidonian Cup. I thought it was the Gideon Cup, but it's the Guidonian Cup. As I'm seeing it written down in full here in front of me, and that's happening March 13th, 18 CET, which is 5 GMT or 12 noon Eastern. So we're going to have some competitive Squadrons teams playing, so we can check out the bracket here. It is a mix of European teams, and some other competitive squadrons have also jumped in there. And it's a single elimination tournament. So some teams I haven't heard of and some ones that I know. We've got Special Force Killer versus Wampa's Claw Alliance, great name. Ventura Bravo versus the Carolina Crates. TIE Fighter Alliance versus Butt Cartel, that's a new one. Inferno Squad versus the Storm Whistles. Converse Squadron versus Crone Squadron. Rogue Squadron versus Hutt Cartel, like the Rogue Squadron. An Imperial Navy team, Reprisal, a Cavern Angels Squad, Typhoon Squadron, and an Espanol Baguette. Okay, so I think Baguette is also a French team, if I'm not mistaken. So this is another Baguette Squadron, too. So a cool little tournament there. Single elimination. You know, it's probably going to go pretty quick. They're going to just play a single game to determine it, who moves forward. So it's just a fun challenge series, though. So it's great. They'll finish that off in a few hours. So it'll be exciting. It's exciting to see some new blood do a tournament, some new teams out there. So definitely check that out. I'm sure it'll be live streaming on Twitch. The Calrissian Cup, of course, is coming up the following weekend on March 20th, 21st. The Swiss round format for day one, and then top 16, best of threes, and best 5 grand finale on the second day. So there's still a few spots left, and there's still maybe 10 spots left if you are looking to get in there and you're a squad. There is still spots open. Swiss format was really fun in the winter minor, so it's exciting to see how it'll go through this time. It was a little bit quicker than the major. I think it only took about 5 hours to get through day one, whereas day two was a little longer for us, especially. We're doing the 3-way tiebreakers. We ended up adding on another 2 hours. Talking to Green Fox, it seems like they've kind of worked on their tiebreakers too moving forward. And the last tournament that's sort of on the horizon for us is the Operation Ace Open. This one has been promised that it would be worldwide. They've said March 27th. No signups open yet. That's all we know about this one. There is Twitter, Discord, Twitch, YouTube available for it. So we'll see how they run it, if it will be through Facebook. A little surprised that we're basically 2 weeks away from it and we haven't gotten any more details at all. So hopefully they do give us an update soon. I'm excited for that one. I'm sure a lot of teams are excited to do another tournament, just have something else on the competitive calendar. So that's what we've got coming up in the immediate future for the tournaments. Now, for the league updates, we can take a look at the SCL. Right now, they are in the middle of the playoffs, and they've had a really great season. It's been awesome to watch it kind of develop as it's been going along. The playoffs, we now find ourselves with Cheese Squadron facing off against Imperial Guard, and then Space Whales against Randalorians. So that's Space Whales Randalorians is gonna be an amazing matchup. Cheese Imperial Guard, of course, that's gonna be a great one too. Tough to say, Cheese and Imperial Guard. My favorite would go to Cheese, but Imperial Guard tough team, that's a no easy matchup for Cheese, so it could easily go either way, but I expect to see, I think Cheese versus Randalorians in the final would be my prediction if I were going to make one. Of course, Space Whales is no easy matchup for Randos either, so they could obviously pull that off and go forward. So it's interesting to see who's going to be able to pull that out. Of course, when it comes to leagues, this episode is going to feature prominently, of course, the Squadrons Premier League by Five-Mans. It's the Squadrons Dogfighting League. It's got 8 teams. We're starting off on March 15th here. It's going to be 8 weeks. Now, over 8 weeks, we're going to have 8 games. It's not like a weekly matchup. It's sort of 8 weeks, so you're going to get them in as you can. So streaming and casting them might be a little bit different, but have your head up for any different streams that might be going on showing those. I think the dogfighting is a lot of fun. It's kind of different, and it's going to have some really good presentation aspects too that you got to give a shout out to Patches for working on for sure. So we've got that coming up here. So we're going to have 2 leagues going on, and yeah, check out too as well. I should mention the scalp streams for the playoff finals. I know March 16th right now, the Imperial Guard Cheese game is set for 7 EST, I believe. The Randos Space Whales one is tentatively set, I believe, for Sunday at 4 in the afternoon EST, but that has not been completely confirmed yet, so don't quote me on that one as of recording right now. There is some active events too. There's the King of the System, which is hosted by Adala on the Star Wars Squadrons Grand Arena Discord. There's sort of a ladder that's being broken down there. I think there's a 5 structure for that, and also a 2v2 dogfight event. So there's some different things that you can sort of start to look at. Outside of just that, I should mention as well, TFA is doing a flight school. Gray each week has flight schools. Gray as well has the Gravy Nights that on Wednesday Tiberius Zahn is organizing, and maybe I'm mistaken, and now he's doing every Wednesday and Saturday night organizing them. But it's basically pickup games where if you're just, looking to play, you can go in and they do a huge draft. They have different captains, and then they draft the players, and they have the teams that are there, and they play different matchups. And yeah, it just seems like a great time. Really great community event each week that's happening. I'm honestly never available at those times. I haven't been able to do them, but I can't wait until I get a chance to. It seems like it would be so much fun. We've done some small scale scrims with 10 people, sometimes a few more, but in Orange Squadron. But seeing them in Gray, there's so many people. The potential is huge. It just seems like so much fun. So great to see. We're a couple weeks still since we've had any sort of balance patching on the ships. Right before the Calrissian Cup was the last time they did any tweaks, so we haven't seen anything in almost over 2 weeks now. Almost 20 days if I'm not mistaken, a long time. Almost 3 weeks. So we're gonna see maybe next week before the Calrissian spring minor, they may add in some more tweaks to the ships. We'll see if they do make any changes. I could also see them not making any changes. The other thing we need everyone to be aware of coming up March 18th. The game is going, Game Pass. This is going to open up a huge market of players. So you got to be on your best behavior, guys, all right? We got to be careful here. I maybe made a video this week that might have seemed like it was encouraging smurfing. I promise you, that was not my intention. My intention was to show some funny aspect to everyone. Something I made it very quickly anyway, and I just want to say, don't smurf, guys. This is dogfighting's kind of, dogfighting is an unranked mode that they just recently added in skill-based matchmaking last week. So I don't think there is a clear downside to smurfing in dogfights like there is in ranked. Whereas, if someone smurfs in the rank queue of fleet battles, it's taking away their rank. People work at that. It's really hard. Whereas in dogfighting, really all you're losing is stats. You can improve your stats. Don't worry. They're gonna go up and down over time. They're gonna get better. They're gonna get worse. You don't have to worry so much about your KD dropping. That's not really a reason to smurf. I really just thought that was kind of funny that the whole situation there, and I had seen it posted. So I hope that makes sense. And yeah, I just want everyone to have a really positive experience from Squadrons because I want this great game to grow. I love this game. I love making content for it and all this stuff. So I just want it to continue to grow. So, I mean, hey, I got like a level 40 account that I play sometimes too. So, I mean, that Smurf, I've been playing since the beginning. So it's like the Smurf, it grew from a Smurf into a real account. It's a real boy account now. I mean, that's basically where I'm at with it. And so, I mean, I get it. Everyone, maybe Smurfing is how you have fun. So I don't know. It's a tough situation. I just want the game to flourish, though. So let's be on our best behavior starting March 18th as it goes to Game Pass, and we will see a huge influx of new players. I think it's a really huge opportunity for the game to grow. So hopefully we can really facilitate for all those people. There's lots of flight schools, like I mentioned earlier, that teams are doing that definitely will create a lot of opportunities for new pilots to learn. So hopefully we do see that next week as the game goes. We see the player base start to grow. I don't see how it couldn't. In some ways, it's definitely out there a bit. It's easier to tell your friends, hey, grab a game. A lot of people have it. It'll be available to them. So very excited to see that once it goes up onto Game Pass on March 18th. So we're less than a week away for that. Anything else I can say? Hey, check out Fencar's videos. He makes amazing videos. Everyone's watching and learning from him. Literally, if anyone is not maybe setting the meta, maybe set meta. Yeah, he's meta setting. He's definitely letting us know the meta if he isn't setting it. So that's everything I think that I wanted to talk about in this week in Squadrons section. We're gonna get into our interview now with Patches. Thanks, guys. This is the Star Wars Squadrons podcast. It is March 11th. This is episode 13, I believe. I am your co-host, Timebomb. Back with me this week, the other co-host, Green Fox Leader. How you doing, buddy?
What's going on, man? Cruising into March, feeling pretty good. Rocking some Squadrons, getting ready for that free play coming up here with Xbox. That should be pretty interesting. Add a bunch of new faces to the scene. Should be cool.
This is huge. Yeah, next week, so many new players are going to hopefully be coming into the game. Hopefully we'll treat them well. Hopefully people will be staying away from their Smurf accounts as much as they can. Not giving a positive experience out there. So this week on the podcast, I'm excited because there is a new league that is just starting out. This is the first dogfighting. Well, I guess maybe there was another entry. This is the Premier Dogfighting League. That's right. I'm going to say the name correctly here. The Squadrons Premier League. And we've got the commissioner here. Patches, thank you for being on the podcast.
Thank you for having me on here.
Hype to have you on. We are so excited because this has kind of been, I want to say, this has been a long time coming. I think, since the game's launching, I'm sure a lot of people in the competitive scene started out of dogfighting. We're looking for something more organized. As private matches came in, it did kind of turn towards fleet battles a little bit, but the whole time, since December at least, I know you've been working to make this happen, and it's finally coming to fruition. Do you want to talk about that journey at all here, Patches?
Yeah, no, absolutely. So, this all kind of began with the 5-man server that Green Fox had started, and the goal was get as many of the most top-tier players that you could find and pit them against each other. Because fleet battles were broken when the game launched, everybody did dogfights. That's all we had. So we had power hours in the 5-mans, which was during the day, 3 times a day, everybody would try and do what's called queue sniping, which was everybody queues at the same time, and you hope that you queue against the same team or another team that you're looking for. That happens to be from 5-mans.
It's so funny to think about those times now because it feels like a million years ago. It feels like so long ago, but honestly, it was so exciting though. Every was it every Wednesday and Saturday, right? Like just having those 3 different blocks or all the teams. So many teams.
Wonderful.
It was great. I mean, after that time there, it was so important. I think to the game, building that competitive scene early on, actually.
Absolutely. And that kind of put the idea of competitive gameplay into the minds of not just, people playing the game, but also the developers in a sense. Originally, we had the Calrissian Cup announced back in Green Fox. When was that originally announced?
Like September or
August.
something.
September,
Yeah,
August,
August, September.
a
Yeah.
long time before the game even came out.
Oh
So
yeah,
there were people looking at the competitive scene for Squadrons before this game even came out. Then the New Republic tournament happened,
that's right.
which was just dogfights. And that really put the idea that tournaments could be happening on the map.
And that tournament, so much fun, and you got to give so much credit to the sorry, was it the New Republic? Is that the name?
The New
Yeah,
Republic.
Harmon and the New Republic.
Yeah, Harmon and the
Yep.
New Republic there. I mean, so much credit to them putting that on, and it had that trouble that we had to do the queue sniping to get matchups. We still didn't have private matches at that point, so it was it was a great experience. It was a little bit challenging because of that, but just honestly, it showed the potential of the competitive scene.
Exactly. And it showed how willing people were to play competitively. There was a lot of signups, at least over 20 teams competed in that tournament. 20 teams
Yeah.
signed up for that in a time where you had no custom matches, where everybody was just out there trying to just play together and have fun and be the best you could possibly be in every way, right?
Mm-hmm. And I think,
So
yeah, off the heels of that tournament, I think right almost within a week after that, they announced that private matches would be coming, I believe.
I think it was shortly after, yeah, they announced that they were going to be adding in private matches, and that kind of set the stage for the future. Operation Ace came very shortly after that.
Mm-hmm.
We had the first Calrissian Cup in January. That also kicked off the Squadrons Championship League, which is a fleet battle league.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we've had Scalpo
But-
on to talk about that, of course.
Exactly. And all of this started spawning, and the power hours for dogfights started to die.
Definitely. Because the power hours, I think because they were such a key part when we didn't have the private matches, once the private matches came up, they did kind of push to the side a little bit. They obviously weren't as popular as they were before because people had more options.
Exactly. And there are still a lot of teams that want to be able to do dogfights. Team deathmatch in any game will always have its relevancy.
True.
And there was not a true place where you had seasons, where you had teams vying for positioning, you had teams in divisions. I believe there's a dogfight ladder that happens, but those are just tournaments that happen.
Mm-hmm.
Similar how the Calrissian Cup happens, once a month, and it's all leading to an end of the year tournament. We're playing through regular seasons,
Mm-hmm.
and the goal was just to be able to have something like that for the dogfighters. We didn't have anything like that, and a lot of them felt like we just got left out. We tried reigniting the power hours; it didn't work. Nobody came.
Mm-hmm.
One team would show up, and they'd play against nobody. It wasn't going to be a thing anymore. Power hours weren't coming back, unfortunately. And back around November time, shortly after the New Republic tournament happened, I started working on writing up a rule book for what we have here is the Premier League. And it went through so many iterations, so many different so many different members of the community put their input in, and that was the goal. This was made not just by me, but by the community in the competitive scene for 5-mans and squadrons. A lot of people had a hand in making sure this shaped out to be something that people could enjoy. And its current state, I'm the commissioner of the league here, but a lot of people put in help whenever they can. I have Rebel Pilot, who helps me out with all these calculations. The man's a wizard when it comes to Excel spreadsheets and numbers.
Yeah, Rebel's a beast.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
And I can go to people like Jareen, who's one of the administrators of the Squadrons Championship League, and ask for advice on certain rulings, certain way things go. We're the new league here.
Mm-hmm.
We just finished our preseason, which was in and of itself a new concept where people are vying for positioning just to be able to get into the top division.
True.
Yeah, I like this too. I like the concept. I think the biggest struggle was just because it's just a busy. There's just a bunch of stuff going on at this time. I think that
There's
was
a lot happening.
the only challenge, for it for us
Yeah,
personally.
there's a lot. There's a lot happening. You had the SCL playoffs happening. You had the Calrissian Cup. You know, there's a lot happening, and that's a good sign for Squadrons.
It really
That
is. Yeah.
you can look, and it's a busy street.
Mhm. And so the structure of it, that's kind of cool how you set it up with the kind of preseason dividing people up in divisions has a very sports feel. I feel like it kind of feels like, I don't know, basketball or something there. You know,
Yeah,
what I mean?
English
you know,
Premiership almost.
Yeah, and I tried to take as much inspiration in the development from the English Premier League using hockey systems,
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
and we award on points per game, right? And we needed to think, how can we take what hockey uses and what soccer uses and create something original for Squadrons?
So you should talk about
And
that, the scoring system a little bit, actually, how
yeah,
you broke that down.
so it works kind of like a hybrid. So we have what's called a league format game. In this league format game, 2 matches have to take place. Each side is going to get to play each faction once. You have a home team and an away team. The home team, they get to pick the map and they get to host the first game. The away team, they get to pick the faction first. Match will take place. Whoever wins, they'll be awarded points, and I'll come back to the points, and then we switch hosts. The reason we switch hosts is because, unfortunately, we can't control lag in this game.
Yeah.
True.
Whoever hosts could have a lag advantage. So how do you counter that? You let both sides be given the opportunity to be able to host. And people were confused at first, but it's a real thing. When lag starts happening to people start getting upset. Like, why is there lag? Both sides have the opportunity to host, so both sides can have the opportunity to have that advantage on their own side.
Yeah, especially for European teams, right?
Exactly.
The guys are in Germany and England.
Yep.
Yeah, fighting West Coasters.
Exactly. So those kind of things we took into account when creating this league format game. So both sides get to host. Both sides will play Empire and Republic. And kind of home side gets to pick a map where they feel comfortable, and then the away team, they get the choice of the faction. As much balance as we could possibly try to do.
Mm-hmm. No, it makes
And
sense. Yeah.
when it comes to points, the goal was to find an original way to award points. So we looked at hockey. Hockey, a winner gets 3 points to their standing. If you go to a shootout, you only get 2 points, and the other team gets 1 point. We don't have shootouts in Squadron.
Yeah.
In soccer, winner gets 3 points, loser gets 0. If you tie, you each get 1. We can't have ties in Squadron.
Mm-hmm.
I've seen one instance where there's been and I'm putting quotation marks, tie.
Yeah.
And that was only because the game took a little bit longer than expected to process the game had ended, and the other team got a kill in that moment, making it a 30-30 game. But there was a winner.
There was some weird shenanigans with 3-way ties when it has to do with seating and stuff, which got complicated within the Calrissian Cup. But I think that's why I always like dogfights, and that's why I think we built the power hours around dogfights, because it was just a clear winner, win or lose. How many points you get?
One time during the New Republic tournament, though, there was a game that was tied like 27-27 and time expired.
Oh yeah, I remember that.
I was casting that one.
The great standoff.
Yeah, it was pretty. That was pretty awesome. I
thought. We do have a provision for that. At which point it will be each team elects one pilot, and it's a 1v1.
Oh my gosh!
Whoever gets the kill, they win the match.
That's pretty awesome.
It's the same, and that is, in a sense, taking from soccer and taking from hockey, a shootout, or a penalty kick.
Mm-hmm.
You have that one-on-one situation. The better one is going to win.
I'm trying to think of any bans are basically the same as you see in most things, where I think no turrets is the only ban
Correct.
auxiliary.
Right now, there's no turrets.
Mm-hmm.
Instead
Yeah.
of even giving the chance that there could be
A
a
problem.
glitched
Yeah.
turret, just take it away. There's no there. It can't happen by accident if it could never be happening to begin with.
Yeah, you would have to take. I mean, you know that it's not allowed, so you just have to not take the loadout. Basically, I think that's one thing that happened to SCL. Someone did it accidentally, and they had to forfeit.
That was my team. That was my team.
Oh, that's your team. Oh, that sucks. Sorry about that. That's a
Yeah.
bummer.
Our support brought in a turret, and we lost that game because of it.
As someone who's played support, I could easily do that. I mean, there's been, I think everyone has taken the wrong loadout or whatever, and you go to whatever, you see the thing come up, you think you're beaconing, and then it's a whatever, right? Like a turret.
What happens,
Yeah, you
But
can't.
getting back to the point breakdown.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah, no worries. So it's how this goes. You start getting into these topics, and there's so many. But for this league, we took inspiration from both of those, and we said, okay, there is always going to be a clear-cut winner, and there's always going to be a clear-cut loser. There have been so many instances of point swings in this game.
Yeah.
We decided to say a whole team wipe gives you five points. You could very easily get a wipe and come back into a game very quickly and very fast, to the point where you bring yourself from a game where you thought you were out of it and you're back in that game. So we want teams that are close in skill to be together. They should be competing against each other the most. So if a team wins by less than 5 kills, then both teams get points, and I'll explain that breakdown.
Mm-hmm.
But if you win by more than 5, so 25 and less, you're getting a full 3 points. You beat that team by the total amount of pilots that they could have possibly had. You're going to get the full 3 points awarded to you. But if you win by 4, you get 2 points, and the losing team gets 1 point.
I like it because I feel like
interesting.
I feel like it's a good move because it can eliminate a lot of tie situations that inherently a 2-game series can lead to. So I think this is a good move. And in fleet battles, you can't really use the same. I think kills is a very straight up way to make that division in dogfighting, but in fleet battles, it doesn't really lend itself to anything that you could. You know what I mean? It would feel a little weird if it's like they got more cap damage, so they win, or something. I don't know what it would be.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And makes it very hard at that point to be able to make those kind of divisions. But thankfully, we don't have that issue when it comes to dogfights. So we do that 3-0 award or a 2-1 award,
which is a huge swing for sure.
And it makes a difference, looking at the standings.
Yeah.
There's a ton of different combinations of how these teams got their points. I'll look at the preseason standings right now, and Randalorians, Imperial Guard, they both got to 30 points, winning all 10 games by 3. It's the only way you'll get there.
Right. Well, winning all 10 games and getting the full 3 points. Yeah, is the only way in 5. Yeah, gotcha.
But Cobra Tai won, and Spicy Squadron, they tied at 28 points, but they didn't get there the same way. Cobra Tai got there with 9 3-point wins and a 1-point loss. Spicy got there with 8 3-point wins, 2 1-point wins, and they got that same exact score. So things like that can happen with this kind of point division. So we needed tiebreakers.
Yeah, tiebreakers are super important.
So if there's a tie in points, we look at score. Score is a very hard thing to somehow tie on.
Yeah.
Very hard. So score is a very solid second tiebreaker. But should somehow teams tie in score, we look at 2 assists for the third tiebreaker.
Yeah.
Nice.
And there are, and that one that does multiple things. That says supports, we know you exist. There'll be a player with 0 kills, 0 deaths, and 10, 15 assists. And some of these teams, they rack up the assists.
Oh man, yeah. I mean, the games that I played too when I was playing, I mean, you're easily getting 10 to 15 assists as a support player. It's pretty.
Exactly. You know, at the end of the preseason, Skull had 275 assists. Cobra Tai had 240, 250. A lot of these teams broke 200 plus assists. So it's an option. It's got to be there. But points, I think, is the better second tiebreaker.
I think
You'll have more decisiveness.
You'll definitely have some points ties for sure, but I would think, especially in the tighter races. But I think that's a good way to break it down. What is the
Exactly.
And so okay, so it's gonna be 8 weeks for the season. Is that stayed true?
Correct. So season 1 starts this coming Monday. I'm still working on getting the schedule made out. I'm also trying to do all these graphics and make these cool things for everybody, so everybody can see their team on a nice little table, so they feel like they're part of something really special, and they can look like they're a professional team, which they are. These are all competitive teams on something that looks professional. I started doing these player cards for people, and people seem to really like these player cards. It's
awesome. It's
like
a great little aspect for it.
You
I
get
really
your
like
own.
it.
You get your own baseball card, and a lot of people really like having their own thing.
Mm-hmm.
But the season starts on Monday, and it goes for 8 weeks. If we have to extend at all, we can work on that afterwards, because we do have, other tournaments happening at the same time, other leagues happening at the same time. But we'll worry about that when that time comes. But it's 8 weeks. Teams have to have competed in 8 league format games.
Nice.
So they're playing 16 games total.
Well, and yeah, like a set of 2 games against 8 matchups of 2 games. I see, right?
Exactly.
Yeah. And then how does it work for playoffs? How many teams make the playoffs then, and how does that work exactly?
So this is where we took a little bit of inspiration from the English Premier League. There are no playoffs.
Right.
Between seasons, there are no playoffs. When you win that season. And I can actually go into a little bit of detail what happens between seasons. So if you're Division 1, you're playing to be the best in the league, and you got to earn that title. When you win the Division 1, you get an invitation to a tournament that happens at the end of the year. The only way to get in there is to win the Division 1. Division 2 can't get in that tournament.
Interesting.
But that doesn't exclude Division 2 from the league. Division 2 will have their own little tournament that it happens, but whoever's at the bottom of the table at the end of season 1, they're going down to Division 2. And whoever's at the top of the table from Division 2, they're going up.
It's a great relegation system, promotion and relegation system, just like Premiership too.
Exactly. So teams have a chance. You can get into Division 1. You can have that chance to get to that point. And even if somehow you still feel like that's not enough chances for teams, because some of these good teams are really freaking good, we even have a wild card system that happens for the end of the year.
Yeah, because I guess, I mean, potential. I'm not saying it will happen, but it could be. It's not outside the realm of possibility that one team wins every season, I guess. Then, right?
Exactly. So if one team wins multiple seasons, we just go down one.
Yeah, of course, that makes sense. Yeah, like so if season 2, let's say the same team wins twice, then the second place team from season 2 would get it.
They would get the invitation, but they wouldn't get the division winner title.
Right. That makes sense. Oh, I like that. Makes it you really have to earn it. Then you know what I mean. They get the title. Yeah.
Exactly. You don't get that. You get a nice little roll in Discord. You get a special color.
Yeah.
The only way to get those things is to win.
That's cool.
But there's multiple seasons, so we have 4 seasons, which means at the end of the year we'll have 4 teams competing in a tournament. Because we want to introduce a level of unknown to that final tournament, there is a wild card system. At the end of the 4th season, whoever's in Division 1 and hasn't received an invitation to the tournament, they will all compete in a single elimination tournament.
Ooh.
To earn the 5th wildcard spot in the end of the year tournament. That 5th place team will play the 4th place team. Then we'll kick off the rest of the tournament.
Wow. So it's like kind of like a
But-
plan for the. So 4th and 5th is basically a plan, really.
Exactly, but 5th place has to be its own turn. 5th place isn't predetermined.
That's
5th
true,
place
yes.
is its own small tournament that has to happen to determine who gets that spot.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah, definitely a big advantage to going 4th then for sure. And then the other one, the 5th, there's got to really work to get in. Good to get to work for that 5th spot.
But there's always a chance to get into that final tournament.
Mm-hmm.
Even if you don't win the division, that wild card is your chance. If you and let's be honest, these teams are really good.
Mm-hmm.
There's some really dang good teams in this league.
Hmm.
Yeah, I mean,
So
it reminded me of like
The
when I
ball-
first started playing the power hours. You know, you played
Yeah.
random dogfights. You're like, I'm pretty good at dogfights. You go there, and you're like, wow, this is tough. Same thing.
it's a
when you
big
play this
slap
to
in
the
the
next
face of
level,
reality.
yeah,
Exactly.
you're like, wow.
So those teams that are near the bottoms of the table in Division 1 that are fighting to stay in Division 1, they have a chance to be able to fight for that grand championship at the end of the year. There's still a chance. You're never 100% out of the race.
Wow. That's a good setup.
Yeah, I like that you've taken the inspiration, from hockey, from football, looking around at the squadron scene. It's kind of an advantage now that you've had that luxury of time. Now you've been able to really think this through and put a lot of cool ideas out there into the league.
Yeah. And I can say today that Division 1 originally was going to be 7 teams, but we have increased the size. We have enough interest of teams wanting to compete that we have made Division 1 8 teams. And Timebomb, your team, Orange Squadron, they're actually the 8th team slotted into Division 1.
Yeah, we're hyped. We're hyped. We made it in there. Yeah.
So Division 1 right now looks like this. Give me just a moment. So Division 1 right now is Imperial Guard, Skull Squadron, Eye of the Tiger from CT1 from the Cobra Tower, Cutie Ties, CT2 from Cobra Ties as well, Randalorians, Rape, Spicy, and Orange. They are our Division 1 of this Season 1.
Interesting too, a mix of teams that are both like fleet battles and dogfight kind of teams too. Like both are kind of there.
Exactly, and it's very interesting the mix in terms of victories. I'm still getting like number statistics in, but it's very clear that in fleet battles, the defender is king, right? Defender is just so strong. It can win so many games. In dogfights, defender doesn't quite have that luxury the way they do in fleet battles.
No.
And the New Republic wins its own fair share of games in this league. And that's a big sign that this is not the same type of game as fleet battles. And these teams, they have to practice 2 entirely different types of games. And my hat's off to them.
Yeah, you do. You need a completely different strategy. You have to think about it definitely. You need it differently for sure. It's not the same thing, and I mean, more and more fleet battles is becoming so peer versus environment and moving away from PvP. And there's a lot of people who love this game for the PvP aspect. So I think there's a lot of room for the league to grow and to add more teams in the future for sure.
I truly hope so. I truly hope that this continues to grow. I hope that people enjoy the product that is here. Unfortunately, because of the nature of how games are scheduled, it's very hard to get a committed caster for these games.
It is tough. I'm gonna try to cast some of them as I can. I mean, I have a weird schedule too, though myself. So, and I know like teams are from all over the world, from Europe to North America. So just scheduling times is with these two teams can be tough. So yeah, like hopefully it will work out. And I think teams will end up playing a lot on weekends. So hopefully maybe we can find a balance there. So you should mention the other caster, Poi Boy, as well as he's going to be casting some games. Who's the other casters on there?
Kyrell also
great.
casts some games. We picked up Fenkar, but I think Fenkar is bouncing between his commitment to the SCL as well as what this league would be. But we're trying to see who we can find,
That's great.
and it's I'm just really happy
Yeah.
that people want to play in a league that I made for them.
Well, I mean, you've put so
Yeah.
much work into it. I hope you know how everyone appreciates it.
I'm glad they do.
Yeah,
It's-
we really do. Like, and I hope I let Green Fox know, and you both are just putting in so much work that, I mean, you're doing this this thankless job and truly giving back so much to the community. So I really hope that both of you know that it is very appreciated by me, because I love Squadrons so much. I love this game, so I really want it to keep growing, and it's people like both of you that are just doing the Lord's work, making it happen.
Well, I think Delepir has gone above and beyond to like really organize a really good dogfighting structure. Because yeah, you're totally right. You know, since the days of Power Hours, back when it was kind of needed for those timed get-togethers, there hasn't really been very much dogfight stuff going on. And I'm even a dogfight guy myself, and I know a lot of people out there, probably somewhere around half the population is into dogfights in some way or another. So it's cool, seeing all that effort put into just organizing all that.
Yeah, I mean,
and I think
maybe-
it's going to work out pretty good.
Maybe Aces 5 can see if they can compete themselves in this league, see where they play.
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, this guy's. Yeah, we'll see.
Well,
Nice.
I say, Patch has made a good point earlier too, that it's like kind of the entry level like a team deathmatch is the starting point for a lot of people. I know when I first jumped into this game, the idea of fleet battles was a little bit overwhelming to me. I didn't quite get it. I didn't play, what is that, like a MOBA? Is that what it is? I don't play MOBA, so I didn't, you know what I mean? Like, just this style of game was a little, not off-putting, but I was just reluctant to get into it. Whereas, dogfighting, I was like, oh, this makes sense to me. This is like coming from first-person shooters. The controls are kind of similar. It seemed a lot more familiar, so I think it will be a good entry-level mode. It's a good entry-level mode for all the new people coming in, and hopefully they'll see the dogfighting league too, and kind of like pick up. It'll find an audience there too, I hope.
Yeah, no, and the more this grows, the more divisions we can have. Just because teams are in Division 2 doesn't make them bad teams. These are competitive teams. This is not easy by any standard, and you're always fighting to be at the top of your own game, and you're fighting to get to Division 1. Division 1, like, this is all competitive, sweaty people. These are people who put a lot of time into being very good at this game, and that was the point of 5-mans to begin with, was get the sweatiest of the sweatiest players in a community together to compete against each other. And that's hopefully, and I think what we're achieving in the dogfight league here, we're getting those sweaty dogfight players the same way these other leagues and these other tournaments, they get the sweaty fleet battle teams.
That's awesome. Well, the need was there, and I think it's on its way to being a cool thing. And so, what's the dates? Give us some dates that things are kicking off.
So March 15th, as soon as midnight hits, League Season 1 is kicked off. Teams will, at that point, commit themselves to completing 8 games within 8 weeks. The speed in which they commit to these is entirely up to those teams. Some teams will wait to the end. Some teams will do them very quickly. Randalorians finished all of their games in like 2 weeks.
So it'd be the kind of thing where you could schedule them as your open, or as teams are ready. You'll have 8 matchups, and they can be over this 8-week period as quickly or as slowly as necessary.
Exactly. And that allows the most flexibility for these teams, and I think that makes it very attractive to a lot of these teams. Is that kind of flexibility? You're not on a weekly schedule. You're on your own time getting these games done.
Yeah, and I think that, so we're also kind of talking about, how, so a league format like that maybe makes it tough to plan the casting, get casters to do it, but at the same time, once games are scheduled, like on weekends too, we might see some big runs where there's like, oh, look, there's like 4 games, a lot of matchups may happen in a row that way. You could see Randalorians playing 2 or 3 in a row, or I know I would try to schedule us like on weekends to play our 2 matchups in a row, and get it that way, get them hammered out.
Exactly. And that's what a lot of teams do. I remember one week we had like 6 games happen in a row. and that was very fun to see happen in its own sense. So those kind of things do happen.
But at the same time, too, I tried to save 3 of our matchups for the last weekend of the preseason, and I was only able to make one of them happen. So I think it is important to not save too many for the end, that you kind of got to pick them off as you go along.
I agree, and we have put in new rules to help account for those teams unable to complete their games and they have to forfeit.
Yeah, because I mean, preseason, I'm not going to force it. Too much stuff has been going on and is going on to like make people kind of go out. I didn't want to, be like, hey, you guys, come on, like it is what it is. But regular season, we've committed to a thing, so I'm not going to let us forfeit in those things. That's not happening there.
There you go.
Yeah,
get those games in, get those points, you can get those wins. I hope to see everybody trying their hardest, and I'm excited to see who will be at the top of Division 1.
Me too. Yeah.
There's some heavy competition in there.
Very excited. We put together. I'm hyped on it. There's so many great teams in there that we wanted to make sure that we had a really competitive team, and I feel very strong about Orange. So really excited to get them games in. So anyone else you'd like to thank for, give some shout outs to for working on the league with you, those graphic design people and everyone?
Yeah, big thanks to Harmon. Harmon helped me a lot with getting the initial scheduling going, getting a lot of these things set up, and Rebel Pilot, again, he is phenomenal with these stats. I don't know how he does it, but he does it. And Alex Jones, if you're looking for insane graphics design, he created our Squadrons Premier League logo. He made original designs, and he's made them, and I wish I had like a link to give and Twitter to give, but I don't.
I'll put that in the description below. I'll get that for you from you afterwards. We'll put that in.
Excellent. And to whoever is here on my staff list, I have he's Taurus Victory Leader over in the 5-man server. He's been helping out a ton, doing announcements on Reddit, on the regular Squadrons Discord, and Wildfire helping us be in that This Week in Competitive posts that he does, which is a weekly, gathering of all the things that have happened that week.
Wildfire's a beast.
Yeah, it's great. Does a great job.
He's really good about passing around information.
Keeping everyone informed with those posts each week is great.
So if people are interested in helping out, I'm happy to take whatever help I can. If you can help sort data, if you're good with art or you're good with graphics and you want to help me make these things for these players, please reach out to me.
I think the things like that, the little packages you're putting together, I think the presentation is going to be really cool for this league too. So I'm excited to see how it goes with casting and everything.
Absolutely, and I'm happy to finally give something that I should be the last rebrand. There should be no more.
Well, it's got a great name. Imagery's looking great. Any other shout outs you want to give for yourself? Any social media stuff you want to put out there?
Not really. No, I'm just one person trying to make a league for people so they can have fun. I don't really have much of anything else. I'm just happy that you were willing to have me on here and be able to talk about the league that I've created along with others to make this game that we enjoy more fun.
This game it's such you can see from Motive, it was a passion project, and that's kind of the spirit I feel for the community. It's kind of like all this stuff is like a passion project for all. I love making the podcast. You want to make a league happen. We just all kind of love this game and just want to kind of just keep it going any way we can. So I feel like, we're doing our best to make that happen. I really appreciate you, Patches, coming on to talk about the league, doing the league. It's just amazing. So I'm really excited to get it underway here, starting off, 4 days from now. If anyone listening, check out the Dogfighting League. When you see on Twitch that those matchups are up there, if you see in Discords announcements for them, check out those games, watch them. Let's get some hype going for it.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Yeah.
Green Fox, anything else to end off with here?
No, I think same old. Where can we find? Are you doing any streaming yourself? Do you have any last shout outs or anything you want to do?
No, I have everything there. I've given off just about every shout out that I can give. You know, Timebomb,
Nice.
you're going to be trying to cast Poi
Mhm.
Boy
Yeah.
casting.
Oh
and
yeah.
as we get more casters, we'll get those names out there.
Sounds great. Yeah.
All
And
right.
again, if you're interested in casting, reach out to Patches. Definitely would like to add more. So, there's going to be a lot of games and a lot of opportunities. I think that's everything.
Just a week away.
Yeah, so close.
Woo.
I think that's everything for this episode. Again, Patches, thanks for being on. Everyone, thank you for checking out the podcast. Give the channel the like, give a review on iTunes or all that stuff. 5 is the number of stars. You guys are amazing. Thank you for checking out the podcast, and we will check you out next time.
517 to scanner control. 517 to scanner control.